What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Corbs from Relentless Reviews with Corbs, aka Mr. 10 out of 10, and I am here with a very special guest from There's Only One Elvis, Mr. Josh Freeman. How you going?
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
It's early in the morning over here, so I'm trying to stay caffeinated.
What time is it there?
I think I was a little bit off, maybe an hour off, but it's 2:40 in the morning.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
nice. It's 5:40 p.m. here. So
Yeah. I think I was an hour off. I think I shot for Melbourne time, which might be different. So,
yeah,
but I was close enough.
yes, you were. Um, all right, so I want to start things off where I start everybody off, and I think the only natural start of every story, the beginning. So in the beginning, who or what was your inspiration for music, and was it solely metal or was there other influences?
Well, I'm in Alabama. So of course there's a hip hop influence from being in the South. But yeah, for the most part, I think the first two CDs I ever got that really stood out to me were my brother gave me Nirvana Nevermind and Cypress Hill Black Sunday. So that kind of wraps up my musical background right there.
Nice. Um, so how old? So how old were you when Nirvana released Nevermind?
Oh, I think it was already out. But I want to say I got that when I was like I don't know, 11, 12, somewhere around the time I got my first guitar. So it was probably around 12 years old.
Oh, nice. Um,
Yeah, so that was a like a pretty important, thing, especially like while I was learning guitar was sitting down with that album because it's just such a like a historical album.
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I do love that album. So for you, it was just solely, well, I guess grunge and hip hop.
Yeah, and that of course led me down the next path of new metal. I'm a total new metal kid. Um, Corn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones. You name any new metal band, I probably like them. And that's kind of where my musical taste started developing from. Um, and just throughout the years from playing different instruments and being in different bands and stuff like that, like my musical taste has grown. Um, like even right now, like one of my favorite bands of all time is Black Dahlia Murder. So I'm like fully into the death metal scene, but at the same time, like Run the Jewels is one of the best hip hop groups that I've probably ever heard. So I still
Yeah,
have a pretty varied musical taste. Um, but yeah,
nice.
like over the years, it's gotten, I guess, more refined.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I've talked to you talk to different people of different age groups, and it's always interesting to me to hear like what era of, in this case, metal do they remember most growing up on. And for me, because I was born in '94, I just missed the grunge scene.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, you
I was
came
too
in.
young.
Yeah,
I do remember the new metal scene. I was just in for. I was just conscious enough to remember that. So like Slipknot, Disturbed, if you can count them. Um,
yeah.
uh, Corn, yeah, like all that. That was my era. So that I remember.
Yeah, I remember we used to there used to be a show on the local radio station called The Pit. And it was like Sundays at like 10 o'clock. It's the only time they played anything like super heavy, and like they were playing like Cold Chamber and like Korn's first album and all that stuff, and like we were still like trying to record stuff on like cassette tapes. It was like the tail end of like cassette, early CD. Like you could everything was on CD, but you weren't like streaming it and like burning it to a CD and stuff. So yeah, that like the first two Corn albums, Limp Bizkit's $3 Bill Y'all, that type of stuff. Like I was in like right there at the beginning of the whole like new metal thing.
Yeah. Um, I do remember being obsessed with two specific albums back in the day, which was Korn's first album, self-titled, and Disturbed's first album, which was The Sickness. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That I don't know. I never really had a taste for Disturbed. Like I mean, it was catchy and things like that, but their sound wasn't. I wasn't keen on their sound, especially after I found out like live they're not all that great. And like
yeah.
no offense, like what the way he sings is probably very difficult.
Well,
Um,
actually, he's tone deaf, Dave
oh,
Draymond.
is he? Oh
So
well, yeah, that that's an issue.
yeah,
So that would
um,
explain it.
yeah. I was gonna say, this is actually a funny story, but and because you're not a big Disturbed fan, you may not know this, but on their first album, The Sickness, they have a they have a rendition of the Tears for Fears song "Shout." They do like
I
a
think I have heard that. Yeah.
and it's ruined me forever. I mean, because in that because it's ruined me because in the Disturbed version, halfway through, um, for some reason, and it's so dorky to me today, but back then I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. But like halfway through the song, shout, let it all out. For some reason, they add like ice, ice, baby, like actually that phrase ice ice baby, and for some reason it stuck with me, and so now whenever I hear the original, I my my brain implants into the original song ice ice baby.
Yeah, you automatically add it in there.
Yeah, and it's like so stupid, but
Oh, look, and look, I'll tell you how new metal I was. Not a lot of people know this, but Vanilla Ice did a new metal album, and
oh,
it actually wasn't the worst thing I'd ever heard in my life.
wow, that's
So like
surprising.
there's like a new metal version of like Ice Ice Baby. Like there's a couple good songs on that album. So that's how far into the new metal like rabbit hole I was.
Yeah, wow. um so the next question, how long into your life did you realize, like, you know what, I'm going to be a musician when I grow up?
Oh man, probably when I like at 12 when I got my first guitar.
Mm,
I fell in love with it. I played saxophone like in the school band and things like that, but
yep.
when I got my first guitar, I really started listening to music, and this was back when like MTV was still showing videos, and like I watched Woodstock '99 on MTV, stuff like that. Like that's what I was like, that's what I want to do, and um, I was fortunate enough to I set very realistic goals, even as a kid.
Yeah.
But I was like, like I'm at least gonna play in a live band, and I did that, and from there on, I've just set like kind of small realistic goals after that, and it's just kind of been working out.
um do you remember what your first maybe high school band was, or what they were called?
We that's because this is such a small town. We didn't really have like a whole lot of like metalheads around here. Like we had a lot of my friends like listen to the same music and stuff, but I was pretty much the only musician, like full bore musician. Um, which I didn't play my first live show till I was 21. And I'd already moved to Houston at that point.
Yeah.
Um, so once I got into Houston, I actually switched from playing guitar to drumming because every band I talked to needed a drummer, and I was just inept enough to like grab a pair of drumsticks and actually manage my way through stuff. So that's I started there, and then I wound up playing drums for a few different bands for I don't know the next 8 9 years after that.
Yeah. And just a quick detour. I was thinking, like, can can you maybe explain to maybe to listeners who are from, I don't know, Australia perhaps, because here in Australia, like, obviously we have different states, in but in these different states there isn't really that much difference in terms of the music scene. It's like everyone just listens to whatever. Like, there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
real big difference state to state, whether it's media, music. How can you like? Is there a way to describe like why it's so? For example, why in Oklahoma the metal scene isn't as big as, let's just say, hypothetically, New York or LA or
A lot of it, like, just from what I dealt with, I'm in a very, very small town, in Alabama, which Alabama is the state doesn't have a large population to begin with.
mm,
Um, and then the smaller town you get, it's just less people. It's more rural, almost farmland everywhere. So I mean, population's a big thing. Um, but even then, like so, even from state to state, you know, I don't know. I imagine you're a hip hop fan.
mm,
Um, so using that as an example, so like Outkast, because they're from Atlanta, they're gonna have a completely different sound than like Wu Tang Clan out of New York,
yeah,
or even the East Coast West Coast stuff. And
mm,
so like the music scene, it's all kind of based on where you're from,
yeah,
and your influences growing up. So like I listen to a lot of Southern rap, a lot of bass heavy stuff, um, and that even that kind of influences like my mixing style and my music. I like real defined like heavy bass in my even in my metal music. Um, so yeah, a lot of it's just population, and then kind of like bands before you, or just whatever influences were local to you.
yeah. True. There you go. Yeah, it's so fascinating to me whenever I hear about that because yeah, over here it's like
Those kind of show up, throughout.
yeah, yeah. It's, yeah, it's very
Yeah, so
interesting.
you yeah, you guys are probably more like like one unified kind of thing, where we're just like we're 50 states doing our own thing under like one, kind of big thing.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, like for example, I I one time went to went to a neighboring state, Perth, for a tattoo expo, and the only thing I was shocked about was the lack of football they have there because we have a sport called Australian football, so AFL, Australian
Hmm.
Football League, and it's massive here in Melbourne, but it's not even anything in Perth. Like they didn't care. There was no banners, no merchandise, nothing, and I was like, what the heck?
Oh,
Like,
so like that's like in the South in America, like football reign like our football American football like reigns supreme. College football, NFL, all that type of stuff. Where the further north you go, like New York, New England area, you start. It's maybe not as important because you got hockey, you got Canada right there. So like hockey's more important. So like even just a few states away for us, like I mean, completely different sport. Like it just everything's just so regional around here. It all depends on like where you grow up.
huh, wow, it's definitely on my bucket list to visit one day. Specifically the southern states because I heard the food there is amazing.
Oh, we have the best food, hands down, hands
I
down. If you like fried stuff at all, like the South is where it's at.
I do. I'm very envious of your guys' cuisine for sure. Like I see on Facebook all the time and YouTube, and I'm like, I wish.
Well,
Um,
it's we're not the healthiest bunch down here,
that's
but
fine with
the
me.
food the food is delicious.
Yeah, trust me. I'm on. Yeah, one day I'm gonna come and I'm gonna just pig out because you guys are the best food. Um, so moving on from our delicious little talk. Um, where was? Oh yeah, where did so? Especially after you telling me your influences and everything, how did there's only one Elvis come from? As in the name.
Oh, the name is it's kind of a joke. Well, I mean it is a joke. But me and a buddy of mine were having some drinks one night. And we were talking about how every once like every generation or every once in a while there's like one there's an excuse me, there's an artist that shows up like Prince or like BB King or just this majorly influential artist that shows up and just changes the face of music. And the joke is that there's only one Elvis because he's the only one who could have ever shown up and stole music from other people and made a living off of it. And so that's kind of the joke of it right there.
It, but it's like, but it's like, but it's like, how did it go from haha that's funny to that's a cool band name?
It was because we were drinking. It was like, oh, there's only one Elvis, and then it just like locked in my brain for some reason.
Ah,
And
yep,
then I was like, all right, yeah, I'm running with that. Like it's funny to me. I'm sticking with it. I'm going with it.
nice. You know that actually reminds me. Like, I don't know if I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've made this public knowledge in my group or not yet. But the whole phrase that I hashtag and everything, keep it relentless. That's actually from a Kendrick Lamar song. So it stuck with me.
That's
Like you said, that's
yeah.
the like
It just sticks in your brain, and you're like, I have to use that. You know?
yeah. In like one of his songs on one of his albums, I was listening to it and he said it in the line. He's like, "Oh, da 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 da, I'm gonna keep it relentless," and
Yeah,
I
and
was
then
like,
that
"That's a
like
cool
it just
phrase."
yeah, it just stuck with you, and you're just like, this is it. This is what I'm using.
Yeah, so I definitely get that. Just like something just doesn't want to leave your head. You're like, you know what? It needs to be this.
Yeah, and then once that locked in my head, like everything just kind of started flowing after that, like the logo with the crown and
Yep.
everything, and I just like it. I just all kind of pieced together and just became like one vision kind of thing.
But in saying that with your band name, was there ever a point, or I mean, is there a point? Like, do you have any plans, or did you have any like? Because I'm just imagining with a band name like that, there must have been a moment where you just woke up one morning and you're like, well, if I'm going to have that as my band name, I should research a little bit about Elvis.
Well, so Elvis is Southern, so we kind of grow up with like this like inherent knowledge
Oh, okay.
of Elvis. So like we all know who he is,
Yep.
stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, so there's I don't know. My wife took me to Memphis a few years ago when we went to Sun Studios, where Elvis recorded.
Wow.
It's like one of his first studios. And so like yeah, it's kind of infected my life now. It's like there's all these kind of cool things that show up afterwards. So I'm honestly really enjoying it. I just hope that no one comes after me legally for using the name Elvis. That's my only concern.
It should be fine. You know, it's funny, because it's Elvis to me is one of the only artists I can't get into. Not because I don't like his music. His music's fine. I mean, it's great. But like, I'm so OCD about music. Like, he doesn't. To me, I'm through and through. Through and through. I'm an album person. I need a
Mm.
discography. I need to listen to albums. And he's more of a single.
Yeah, yeah, he was a singles guy. Like he
And
would
I'm
release
like,
singles. Yeah,
it's hard.
yeah. But I like my honestly my favorite thing is just the ridiculousness of like him in the late 60s, early 70s. Like I am full bore like with the jumpsuits and the just the gold chains, the whole thing. And it was just so over the top
Yeah.
that like that's not even from a recording standpoint, but just visually, like that is the most iconic thing on the face of the planet.
Did you ever watch the Family Guy skit for Elvis?
No, I haven't.
So they're set back in time, like back to the '60s. So the the Family Guy family, it's black and white. They're set in like the '60s, '50s, and they finally get a TV for the first time, and they're like, oh, a colored TV, so exciting. And they turn it on, and they see, and it's showing Elvis perform live, and everyone just goes, he's white.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's kind of the joke of the band is like he stole all of this stuff from black artists like around Memphis and the South. Like they were all doing blues and they already had written all these songs. And
hmm.
then he's like a white guy with a good voice and he just shows up, starts recording it and like makes a massive career out of it. I think it's the most bizarre thing And it probably happens all the time, but he's just like the most famous example of that, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say though, the one thing I will say, I'm not sure. I don't know how many people there are defending him against not defending him, but like, let's just say I wanted to, like, if tomorrow I woke up and I said I'm going to be the biggest reggae artist of all time, I still need to know how to do it well.
Yeah, and like I said, he's got an amazing voice, and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
And you know, it just blows my mind that he's like, "Oh, you guys already wrote all these songs? Cool, I'll go do it my way and go make money off of it."
true.
You know?
Yeah. Um. So so this is the thing about this project band, whatever you call it, that intrigues me so much is that if I'm not mistaken, it's a one man band, right?
Yeah, it's just me,
Just
just
you.
me.
Like, run me through that because to me, I can't even imagine playing any instrument, let alone all instruments plus singing or screaming.
um, yeah, I mean, you know, I started as a guitar player, and I spent a lot of time playing drums, so that you know, automatically um just puts me on a certain level um that I'm very comfortable writing. The bass, I played bass a little bit in a couple bands, and just that came kind of out of instinct. And then just being a metal fan, like you just, especially in bands, you just kind of learn how to scream and scream properly.
Yeah.
So you're not just blowing your voice out every day. Um, yeah, I mean, I originally started just doing like guitar and drum tracks, just kind of demo like scratch tracks. Um, Not really sure what I was gonna do with it, and then you know I put a bunch on like SoundCloud for free and all that kind of stuff. And then I just like after I got the band name and all that, I was like, well, I might as well make an album. You know, fuck it. Like I got one, even if this is the only thing I do, like I'm at least gonna make an album. And
Yeah.
so that's been the past couple years. It's just been writing, um, mixing, all that kind of stuff, trying to get the album done.
And and run us through your writing process. So the lyrics, like how how do they come to you, or how do you? Yeah, is there like a tradition that you do with yourself in order to get in the mindset for writing, or does it just come to you?
So with the lyrics, I kind of stole a page out of the David Lee Ross book. I was watching a podcast with him, and he said he used to carry around a notebook, and like when a phrase or something would pop in his head, he'd write it down in a notebook. Um, so that's been really helpful. Because I just from listening to other bands or watching something, like you'll there's just almost like the band name, like something will just stick in your brain, so you just kind of write it down. Um, but for the most part, like I have to have all the tracks done musically first. So like guitar, or at least guitar and drums, guitar, bass, and drums. And then I can just kind of sit with them, and something might strike me a certain way and kind of lead me down a rabbit hole, and kind of come up with the topics. But for the most part, the every one of the songs on the album has something very uh, kind of significant to me lyrically. So that was the big thing on this album was just making sure that every song kind of fit musically and lyrically together. And also like a lot of the stuff, it's all very personal to me. Um, so that was honestly the hardest part of making this album, because I'm not, just because of my background, I'm not a lyric writer or anything. So this was kind of a venture in a whole new direction.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can imagine, and plus you being a one man band, like,
Yeah, it makes it a little more difficult, you know.
and a question I've always had, and because you've worked with bands before and now you're doing your own thing, like I don't understand. To me it's the most complex idea in the world, but because with hip hop, for example, with hip hop you just have you have an instrumental and then you make rap lyrics, a chorus,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's pretty much as easy as that. But with metal, like how do you guys go when you're in a band? How do you just sit there and like come up with specific solos and drum patterns to figure out a whole song? Like how do you? To me, that's so
Oh man, that's in a full band scenario, that is honestly the most aggravating part because everybody has their little their input. So like when I was a drummer, you know, guitar player was like, no, let's try to do this, let's try to do that, and you're just constantly changing things. But throughout changing all of it, you eventually find like a sweet spot where like everybody's happy. Or there's, you know, some form of compromise, like, okay, well, what if I do this here and then I do that there, and you know, just kind of make it work. Um, as far as the solo, like me working by myself, I have full reign. So like if I don't like something, I can just erase it and and do something different. So
mm,
some of these tracks, like if I record something one day and I'm like, oh, that's like the best riff I've ever done, and I listen back to it and it's like, oh, that was complete garbage. Like, what was I doing? I have full range just to go in and be like, nope, scratching it. Like, we'll do it again. You know, I'll find something better. Um, so that gives me like a little more freedom,
mm.
as far as that goes.
Nice. Yeah. No, to me, yeah. Every time I hear, oh, actually, not really. Every time I think about a band like coming up with new songs and new solos and new drum pans, I'm like, like that. That would blow my mind.
Yeah, it's a lot of it occupies like a good portion of my day. It's just like thinking about this stuff, and it's a lot of it now is just subconsciously. Like I'm not even aware I'm thinking about drum patterns or riffs or anything. You know, it just kind of happens, and then when I actually sit down to start recording, like that's when I can like kind of empty my brain and get all that stuff out of there.
Mm. You know, I heard the story. I'm not sure if it's true. I assume it is, but you know, Slipknot's second album, Iowa.
Yeah.
Um, I heard apparently that they were all in the worst at the time, at least their worst rock bottoms of their lives. And apparently, it was Corey Taylor that that pretty much told everyone, "Let's make an album using this real aggression, this real hatred that we have for life right now," and force them to be in the same studio to make an album, which would explain the sound of it. Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard that or not.
Yeah, that's I was watching a podcast with the producer and one of the guitar players from Suicide Silence, and he was talking about making Iowa, and he has this uncanny gift of like getting inside people's heads, and he so like they were already pissed off, and he just like went for it. He just made them more angry,
Yeah,
and just like kept digging in and digging in and digging in, and like still to this day their heaviest album, I don't think they're ever going to get that heavy again, and it's just phenomenal.
well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, like you have all that aggression. It's like, and plus you can tell when it's real aggression too.
Yeah,
Compared,
yeah, that's so I have like most of your um like normal rock stations, like, and I don't mean to talk shit on anybody, but like your Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, that type of stuff, like all that to me is just fake ass aggression, you
yeah,
know? Because if you hold any of that up to like Iowa, where it's real, it's just like you can tell it's fucking fake. Like they're screaming, yeah, but they're not really mad about anything, you
yeah,
know? And so like when you hear something like that that's genuine, it's just that's what sticks with you. It's just like the authenticity of it.
yeah, exactly. It's I actually own that. I'm the. I remember I did own. I owned Iowa and Volume Three on CD. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
the
yeah,
first.
like we got the like the self-titled, like the first album,
Hmm.
and it just blew our fucking minds because like we were like, how can there be nine fucking people in this band? You know, like
Yeah,
it just seems so chaotic. And then they came out with Iowa, and we're just like, that you're not gonna get any fucking crazier than that right there.
yeah,
Um, and even then, like I've been a fan of each one of their albums ever since then, and you can kind of tell, yeah, they might not be as angry, but there's still a lot of shit going on, and there's still like just even the songwriting and stuff has just gotten better and better and better.
Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, definitely an amazing band for sure. But you know, the interesting thing about them before we go on to the next question is I always thought it was kind of to me I never felt comfortable calling them new metal because they were so much heavier than everything else. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that
yeah,
was kind of the kicker. Was like they got lumped in with all the new metal stuff, and like they're just kind of on their own. Like they're to me, especially the first two albums, the self-titled and then Iowa, were like almost like I mean they had some new metal influence with like I mean you got a DJ in the band, and the Craig the sampler, but I mean for the most part those are two death metal albums, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, they might have had some hip hop influence in there, but I mean, they're pretty much death metal.
Well, that's what I've always thought in my head. I was like, if I had to categorize them as something, it would be at very least like deafened new metal.
Yeah, you know, it's that darker side of new metal, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, they always kind of stood out on their own.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Nonetheless, yeah, great band and rest in peace, Joey and uh Paul Gray.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that was a bad one, man. He was such an influential drummer. I mean, because I was learning how to play drums to, you know, those first two albums.
Yeah. I you know, and this is not a kick to him, but like it always made me laugh whenever I saw Joey Jordison play fill in as a drummer for other bands live he
Albums, and
because
it's like,
because
man, I thought like when I learned.
yeah, like he never changes his tempo speed.
Yeah, he's always playing fast, always.
So like I remember seeing him play with Korn and they were playing Frequent Leash and it got to that part where Jonathan Davis does the you know the devilish like scat thing, but
Yeah,
it was too
yeah.
fast because Joey was too fast. It sounded so off.
Yeah, yeah, he just like he was at one speed like all the time.
Yeah, it always made me laugh. Like because you watch the live one expecting it to sound like the studio, but because of how fast he plays, it just
Yeah, yeah, it's nowhere close, man. He was just like, and I like he was doing them a favor, but he was just too fast, man.
and like you could hear Jonathan Davis trying to speed up his scat.
Oh yeah.
It didn't fit. Uh, good old Joey. Um,
Yeah,
so so this album is out. All right, is that it? All right.
yeah, pyrite. Yeah, it's actually fool's gold.
Oh, sure.
Um, yeah, so the whole idea was between the band name and kind of the serious subject matter. It's almost like fool's gold. Like you see the band name and you're like, oh, this is nonsense. But then you get into it and it's like, you know, there's actually good tracks and like you know some serious material in there. So I thought that like fool's gold would or pyrite would be a an apt name for the first album.
Well, coming from someone who, like obviously before now, who didn't know the history of that name, I didn't like to me the name doesn't strike me as kind of a parody name. It strikes me as like you know someone who like kind of an Elvis idealistic an Elvis idealistic name. Like you're praising his legacy by saying there's only one Elvis.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of different feedback on the band name, and the thing I do like about it is that like I have my meaning, but everybody else has their own kind of take on it too, and I think that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
Um, and that honestly, like for a band name, that's kind of what you want. You don't want it to be like one thing, you know. I like kind of the open endedness of it. Like it can literally mean whatever you want it to mean.
yeah, that's true. Um, my favorite band name of all time. I don't know if you've heard of this band or not. They're from Australia, but and it's just I love band names that just kind of sound interesting. They sound cool to say,
Yeah.
and by far the winning is an Australian band called King Gizzard and a Lizard Wizard.
Oh, that yeah. See that just the alliteration alone, like that's enough to make you want to like look into that.
Yeah, you will like remember that name.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I don't know. I'm assuming that they're bigger over there than they are here, but my two favorite bands from over there are Osaka Punch
Yeah,
and 12 Foot Ninja. Like hands down, two of the best bands I've ever heard. I don't care where they're from.
yeah, true. I have to do my research on them.
Yeah, Osaka Punch kind of reminds me of like Faith No More.
Yeah,
They have just this just kind of weird, like they do reggae, hip hop, thrash metal. Like they can do anything. And then 12 Foot Ninja, just they're almost the same way, but they're more on the metal end, kind of genty prog stuff. But I mean, they've done tracks with like funk and salsa music and like all kind of stuff. Just two phenomenal bands from over there.
well, definitely gonna have to check them out. Um, so this album's out. It's all done. So, what is your what is your music goals for the future?
Um, right now I'm actually working on 12 more tracks. Um, so my next goal, I'm kind of in the demo phase right now. But sometime next year I'm going to start releasing them, and I'm going to do a song a month for 12 months until the album's out. So it's going to be a full year of music once I start releasing it.
Nice, nice. Um, can you give us any early update on like the name of your next project or
I got some stuff rolling around, but nothing concrete yet. Um, so like when I even with coming up with Pyrite, I kind of had the visual for the album, and everything. It all kind of falls into place at one time, and I just kind of like doing things organically like that. Um, so as of right now, there's no definite title or anything like that for it. Yeah, pretty much the only thing I got is like 12 demos at this point.
coming up the second album by There Is Only One Elvis titled There Is Only One Prince.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll pick somebody else and kind of run with that.
Yeah, there's only one Sinatra.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 12 Frank Sinatra metal covers. That's what it is.
That would be sick. You should definitely do that. That would be sick.
So I have two covers out right now. One is a Foo Fighter song and one is from Clutch, and they're kind of odd choices for, a metal artist to do. But yeah, like I would like to do some weirder covers, and like Frank Sinatra might be the way to go.
I'm pretty sure I reviewed the second cover. You said,
Yeah, was it what, Space Grass? Was that the?
yeah,
I think you did both of them actually. You might have
because
wound up doing both of them.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure Eric sent me both.
yeah. So I think you have done both of them.
Yeah, there you go. The name kind of the name stuck out to me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, because it's like the cool thing with covers, in my opinion, unless you're super amateur and you don't know what you're doing, you can't really do a bad cover as much as you can just do your own take.
That's kind of what I did with those two tracks. Is like, I'm a metal artist at heart, but like the Foo Fighters, man, who's gonna argue with the Foo Fighters? They're like one of the biggest rock bands in the world. You know, um, I just that song just kind of stuck with me, and I felt like it could be heavier, and that's why I did it. And then with Clutch, um, man, just like one of the biggest underground. Well, I still consider them underground just because they're not on like mainstream stuff. But Space Grass, I've been listening to that since I was a kid, and every
Yeah,
time I've heard it, I was like, this could be so much heavier. And
Mm,
you know, same reasoning behind that one.
true. Um, I was gonna say, do you listen to the band Children of Bodom?
Um, Not a whole lot. I did. I had the privilege of seeing them on tour with Lamb of God several years back, and they were phenomenal.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, I'm not. I'm not super keen on like their albums and things like that.
Well, they are to me. They are the kings of covers because they just do the most random covers ever. Like the most famous one to me, they did a cover of and I swear by the way they play this, they sound drunk, but they
Probably
did a
knowing them.
cover. Yeah, they did a cover of Britney Spears "Hit Me Baby One More Time."
Oh yeah, that's probably gold. That's probably just drunken gold right there.
Yeah, I always laugh when I hear it, but like I always play it because it's funny. But it's just
Yeah.
like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why not just do like a fucked up version of you know, some other song?
I gotta
But
say,
I
yeah,
think a lot of bands need to like, um, man, just don't be afraid of covers. You know, like covers are, man, that's how people are gonna know who you are. You do one good cover, and like, man, that's it. People know your name.
yeah. What would you say is the greatest cover song of all time?
Oh man. Um, oh, probably Johnny Cash doing Nine Inch Nails, doing Hurt.
Oh,
Uh,
I had a feeling you were gonna say that. But
yeah, that's the like hands down. That's the best cover. It's just that like it takes on a different life when Johnny Cash does it. You know,
yeah,
and that to me that's the essence of doing a cover. You know, like you listen to Nine Inch Nails version and it makes you feel one way, and then you listen to Johnny Cash's like, you know, a completely different feeling, different meaning, the whole nine. You know, that to me that's a great cover because he didn't. I mean, he wasn't trying to be Trent Reznor. He was just being Johnny Cash. You know.
yeah. No, that is a great cover. For me, and this isn't saying this isn't to say that's better than Hurt, but um, one of my favorite covers, even growing up, I'd play this song all the time, and I play it now till still to this day. Is have you heard of the band Him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the Finnish band. Um, their cover of um, how has it slipped my mind all of a sudden? Hang on. I'm going on my on my music to find it. Their cover of Wicked Game.
Oh, yeah. See, they like that sounds like it would be really good.
I
Like
can't hear
I
the
don't.
original now. Like I love the original, but the way him
Yeah,
does it or Valvello does it.
yeah. That just sounds like it would be infinitely better. You know.
I'm gonna send it to you
All
after we finish this, but
yeah, definitely.
it's amazing. Um, so I've got all the mainline questions out the way. Now I feel like I'm ready to throw you the curveball,
Oh, hit me with it.
and I can't wait because once I get bigger, this question is just gonna cause tons of controversy. I reckon once it gets more attention. But and I've asked this to three other artists, and it's funny seeing their reactions, like on interview. They're like, "Oh, do we really have to answer this?" Because, but what I'm going to ask you is, in your opinion, what is the most underrated and overrated album of all time?
Oh man. Metallica's Black Album most overrated.
And why is that?
Um, just man, they had so many good albums before that, and I understand like they wanted to move forward, and they just hired this big producer, and it just came in, and it wasn't Metallica anymore. Like there's still great songs on it. Don't get me wrong. I don't want any Metallica hate. Um, but yeah, it's an overrated album to me, and just they could have made just thrash gold if they wouldn't have gone that direction.
Hmm.
That's why it's the most overrated to me. Like they were
And
just riding high on thrash, and they just kind of plateaued.
well,
Um, and
underrated.
Most underrated. Man, that's a tough one. Um, there's so many albums that I just absolutely love that get like no love whatsoever. Um, I Man, I don't even know if you can call it an album because it's only one song, but it's like 30 minutes long. Uh, but Meshuggah, it's
Yep.
one track. It's one track, 30 minutes long. The most insane shit I've ever heard in my life. So that's gonna be my most underrated.
Well, I gotta say, you reacted exactly the same as the other three. The
Yeah,
whole initial, oh
that's a
shit, I gotta answer this.
yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
And as I said, the bigger I get, it's gonna start reaching ears of the people who they're saying is overrated. And
Oh
then,
yeah, yeah. That's the hope, right? Get some drama going, you know?
but hey, it's gonna be funny once it gets to that point.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so, is there anything else you want to say, or anyone you want to shout out, or anything?
Um, I got to give a shout out to my guys in Misanthropic Torment, because I play guitar with them. So Eric, Matt, Hector, um, we're also working on some new material. Um, give a shout out to um, all my gear, Jackson guitar, Seymour Duncan, PV amps. Um, that's pretty much it, man. Yeah, just I'm a pretty simple dude.
Oh, no shout out to Elvis. What is this?
No. He stole all this shit. Fuck him. I'm just
Wow, without Elvis, you'd just be there is only one.
Hey, it could still work. It could still work.
That's a cool name. There is only one.
Yeah,
Um,
there's only one.
who knows? Maybe in the future you will change your name like Prince.
Yeah, I'll just yeah, some contractual thing will come up and I'll be like, yeah, we're just gonna drop this.
The symbol that was once Josh Freeman.
Yeah,
Um,
yep.
all right. Well, it was great talking to you. It's always good when when you feel a good energy from the other person and a good talkative energy because you don't want to be talking to a robot.
Oh
And
yeah, dude. Yeah,
so
that's I did I don't like doing interviews like that. I mean I might have some of the same answers, but you know, like I am who I am. I'm gonna respond accordingly.
yeah, no, it's good. It was a good interview, and thank you
Oh
for your
hey,
time.
do you have a second? Because
Yeah,
I think I have a question for you.
aha, let's go.
So yeah, I know you're a wrestling fan,
Yep,
right?
yes,
Favorite wrestler of all time.
that
All
is the
time.
easiest question. No, that is to me. It would have to be just based on my obsession in my childhood. It would have to be Shawn Michaels.
Oh, that's a good one.
What about
That's
you?
a that's a good one. Oh man. Um I see I gotta go opposite of that. I gotta go Bret Hart. The guy was just such a
Oh,
technician. He was a technician. Like it's a whole legacy thing. Like Bret Hart, like one of the best wrestlers of all time. It just sucks that they could never figure out what exactly to do with him.
that is true. And considering that was your choice and what my choice was, I think you might be happy with my choice for what I think is the greatest, at least greatest WWE match of all time. And that is none other than the first ever Iron Man match.
Yes. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. You had a technician and a showman together, same match. It's just gold, you
And,
know?
you know, I've heard rumors, and obviously I can't tell if this is true or not, but it seems like it would be based on the match. But apparently, backstage, Vince McMahon couldn't tell who he couldn't predetermine who was going to win the match because they were both so hungry. So he's
Yeah,
like, look,
yeah.
you guys
Yeah,
decide, like, go in the
yeah,
ring, and whoever wins, wins. And that's why it went into overtime.
yeah, that's like those two were so good together. Like I couldn't imagine being like, "Oh, you have to win over you," you know? Like I couldn't imagine that at all. Um but hey, AEW's killing it right now. Kenny Omega, you can love him or hate him. probably one of the best in the business right now. And one more shout out. I want to give a shout out to Fuego del Sol. He's from Mobile, Alabama. He just signed with AEW. So
Really?
doing big stuff down here in the South.
Wait, so you know someone who's now part of the AEW roster?
I don't know him personally. Just mad love from the same state. That's what it is.
That's fair. You know what's interesting? I'm actually because I'm real OCD with stuff. It's insane. Like, so whenever it's anything, if it's a podcast, if it's anything, if possible, I like to start from the very start of things, because for me to watch or listen to stuff out of order is just, it screws my head. So I've started AEW from the first episode.
Yeah.
And I'm on episode 4 now, and I watched the latest All Out. I watched that one because my friend.
Oh yeah.
But I don't really know much like the actual weeklies. I don't know what's up to date yet. I just know from what I saw All Out and episode 4.
Well, look, they're snagging people left and right, man. It's like their roster is just stacked, and then it's all kind of wrestler based. So I mean, you got the Rhodes family that's involved, you got Jericho that's involved. It's just man, there's so many people involved in it that are top tier, and they're just getting like the best of the best.
And I think one wrestling question to you, and to me, like, I've gotten so much hate on wrestling groups and forums that I'm part of for keeping this opinion. But I'm going to keep this opinion till I die. I don't even care. But what is your opinion on the Young Bucks? Because I absolutely love them.
As far as a tag team, hands down one of the best. Hands down. I mean, just their whole career has been just stellar. You know, I don't know if you could ask for a better tag team. I mean, they got their hands full in AEW though, because there's some solid tag teams over there too. So, but I think they're in the right spot, and I think like they're only going to get bigger.
A lot of people don't like them that I talk to them. They're like, oh, like, how can you like them? Like, you know, I hate them because I guess I'm not really sure because I'm only up to episode 4, but I assume they're like really bad heels.
Oh yeah, it's you'll get there.
That's what everyone says, but I doubt it. I'm gonna keep rooting for them.
Well, look, to me, they have that same energy that Matt and Jeff Hardy used to have. Maybe not as extreme, but as far as a tag team, like that's where they're at, and they're to me they're that good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that reminds me. One more thing about All Out, because you watched it obviously, right?
Yeah.
The last one. I couldn't stand, like, I didn't realize before, but Kenny Omega can't cut a promo for shit.
No, he needs someone to talk.
Wow, that was horrible. That sounded like literally an anime nerd trying to be tough.
Yeah, he needs someone to talk for him, but still, his skill level is just too. It's too.
Oh
high.
Yeah, his in-ring is unmatched. But as soon as I heard him talk after the match, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and you know he might have just been jacked up. But you know, it's still like.
And using Steve Urkel as a phrase.
Yes, I thought it was hilarious.
It's like, what? Aren't you meant to be a heel?
Yeah, it was over the top and ridiculous, but yeah, he needs somebody to talk for him, and then I think he'll be solid.
He needs a Paul Heyman to his Lesnar.
Yes, exactly.
Well. You know, now that I know you're this much into wrestling, we'll definitely be talking more about it on Messenger.
Definitely, dude. Definitely.
Yeah. So, again, thank you for your time. I can't wait for your 12 things to come out within the coming year, and yep. I will. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll probably talk to you later tonight.
All right. Yeah, that'll work, man.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a good night.
You too. Later, man.
All right, see ya.